Hello everyone, this is John with John Menarsic Fine Art. I'm sorry I'm a week late on this video. As you can tell by my voice, I'm getting over something. I've been sick for a couple of weeks, so I'm sorry I didn't get to a video sooner. But I am back, and if you can bear with my voice, we got another water mixable oil painting here today. We got an 11 by 14, and it's on Gessobord. It's from Ampersand, and then the paint of preference lately, and I think for a while to come now, is going to be the Daniel Smith water mixable oil paint. Now, one thing I'm trying new on this particular painting, as you're going to be able to see here, is I'm going a little thicker with my paint. Okay, the last couple of them, I thinned out my strokes a little bit much, and here I'm getting some of the rough stuff up, but as you can see, I got a lot of brush strokes left in. So I'm just thinning it out just a little bit, but you can see I'm leaving a lot of strokes in. I want to be a little more expressive maybe in this particular painting. Not sure why, just kind of was coming to me. If you can make out, that really faint sketch that I have there. I use graphite when I do my sketching, and sometimes you've seen it. I've done the paint directly on it. It just depends on my mood. There's no really rhyme or reason for it. That's just what I grab at the time. And this one I wasn't 100% sure of where it was going, so I just used the graphite because it was just easier at the time. That's really all there is to it. I'd love to give you an scientific, artistic explanation, but really it was just convenience. Now here, as you can see, I'm doing the mountains, but I'm doing them pretty rough, and I'm not going to smooth much of this out. I'm going to leave the mountains pretty rough. Now, this is something new I'm trying, and I'm not sure how it's going to work. Actually, now I am that I'm doing the voiceover. It worked out relatively good. But I've got the same color as the mountain color, but a lot more SapmGreen in it, so as you can tell, it's green. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that same flat brush that I'm using right there, that I'm kind of, as you can see, kind of dabbing the paint on, not necessarily stroking it. And what I'm going to do is tap the trees out of the paint that's already there. And I just wanted to kind of see how that would look, how it would work, whatever the case may be. And there I am experimenting. And really, I didn't plan on doing this. For some reason, it just kind of happened. And I loved it, especially the right side. The left side, against the dark mountain, I had to lighten it up a little bit with some yellow later. But the right, I loved. And I could have left it just the way it is, but I want to add a little bit more color to it later on in the video, so that's what I do. But it's a technique that I think I'm going to try later and in other paintings. And basically, you just put a thick amount of paint down, and you just have the choppy, dabby strokes, to get it wherever. And then you use that same brush, and then you kind of tap your trees in, kind of sculpting everything as you go. Okay, here I am putting the highlights on the mountain. Now, the mountain you can see a lot of right now. The way it ends up is very little of the mountain is going to be showing. So just a little bit of the mountaintop is going to show. Those trees on the left I bring up pretty big. And that whole back midground is going to look like, one giant forest. Now I'm using a choppy fan brush that I later change into a filbert brush. And my reason for using this at first was I wanted, like I said, I'm putting thicker paint on. I wanted it to look a little rougher. And it was... not that it was too rough. I don't know if there's any such thing within landscape painting, but it just didn't look right to me. So I ended up going to a filbert brush to kind of get everything going. And there you see, I'm putting on the highlights again with the filbert, and then I'm going to use that to kind of sculpt where I have everything. But if you notice, compared, if you've watched any of my other videos, I'm a lot looser and a lot less deliberate with the strokes that I'm doing in this painting. And the reason why is I really enjoy viewing paintings that have a lot thicker brush strokes. And I learned how to paint with maybe thinner paint, and I do like that art, but I also wanted to learn how to make my paintings maybe a little bit more expressive. So that's what I'm trying to do this. It's the same colors, the same paint, the same surface, everything that I've been doing. It's just the style is a little bit different in this one. So I hope you like it. I enjoyed doing it, but it's just up to you guys if you like it or not. And if you don't, let me know. Thumbs down is cool, but tell me in the comments why you didn't like it, and then I'll do what I can to get something that you do like. Now, as you notice, I had a fan brush. I didn't like the way it looked. It was just a little too thick, so I'm going back to the same brush that I used to put in basically the outline of that. And as you can see, I'm using the yellow to lighten it up. It's the Hansa yellow light. And I told you I went pretty high up on the mountains. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of highlighting on the right mountains, but very little. Okay, it's just enough to make it stand out a little bit, but nothing. I don't want them as bright as the ones on the left. Okay, I want there to be a little bit of a contrast. There's not going to be much the way it ends up, but there is a little bit. And as long as there's some, then I feel better. Okay, now here's the fun part. I love doing water like this. This isn't a river necessarily. It's still water, basically. It's going to have a little bit of action to it. I don't want a lot. I wanted it not necessarily stagnant, calm like glass, but I just didn't want it, a rough river either. And I've got green in the brush still from when I did the trees back there. And then I've got the French Ultramarine, and you can see that really pretty watercolor. And I'm just kind of scrubbing it in. I'm not making this one thick at all. And here's one of the things that I wanted to go over that I never really had a chance to. It's 2 times the speed, so you didn't have a good chance to see it. But I was taking my brush strokes for the water straight horizontal, back and forth. And that's just because water has to be flat in order to look correct, unless it's, a waterfall or something. So when you're putting your water in, you want to do your best to get it flat and keep those brush strokes as horizontal as possible. I mean, if you deviate a little bit, that's fine, but you don't want to go crazy with it. Okay, now here you can see I am going to start taking out a little bit of the water underneath. And the reason I'm doing that, see right there, is because as I was looking at the painting, the perspective was just off. So what I wanted to do was get it back, and that's how you make adjustments. And the longer you paint, the more experience you get, the more you'll understand, and just you'll see it. It'll drive you crazy, and you'll know what it is, and you'll fix it as you go, and things will be great. But that just comes with experience. And here I am just adding the titanium white on, and as you can see, I'm keeping the brush strokes as flat as I can, as level. Okay, now this is going to be covered with some reeds and stuff, so you don't have to worry about it as much. But for the most part, I'm trying to keep it as straight as I can. A little bit of wavy action here and there just to show some movement. But all in all, that's about it for the water. There really doesn't need to be a whole lot there. And that's just because the water is not the focal point. A lot of the flowers and stuff in the foreground is what's going to end up being the focal point, I think. The mountains originally were going to, and then when I kind of got carried away with the tree line, that kind of took away from it. So the flowers and reeds that I'm putting in will probably end up taking over a little bit. Now here, if you just saw the way I lifted up those reeds on the 2 banks, it'd become my favorite way to make the flowers and reeds and stuff on a riverbank. And even this one, which isn't necessarily a river. And it's just a lot of fun. And it comes out and it looks so nice that that's what I'm doing. I love lifting it up like that with the real dark color and then putting in the pretty flowers with, in this case, it'll be Alizarin Crimson and white, and then some Hansa yellow light and a little bit of white. Now here I put in a little bit of too light, and I didn't like it. So as the day goes on, as the painting goes on, I'm going to go over that, which is another mistake that you can fix easily with oil paintings. Watercolor is not as forgiving, and acrylics could be because they're opaque, but they dry so darn fast it makes them tough to be forgiving. And there's the other flowers. And now I'm putting in a little blue to darken it up, and that doesn't work. And I'm going to eventually put in some Alizarin Crimson flowers going horizontal and that's going to fix the mistake that I made with the color. And basically the mistake I made was the color mix. I mixed it incorrectly. So now I'm putting in flowers that are just like laying on the ground and stuff, brighten up the painting. And basically, like I said, my focal point is the foreground with the wildflowers everywhere. And that's pretty much what I wanted to concentrate on. Now here I am putting a little bit of color. This is Alizarin Crimson blue, French Ultramarine blue, and SapmGreen. Then I'm putting in a little bit of foreground here, just in the front of those trees, just to give them a little bit more, I don't know about shape, but maybe just a little bit more variety to them. When you look in a forest, you're always going to see a lot of the same colors, and then you're also going to see some different variations, whether it's, some dead trees here and there, or, whatever the case may be. So I just wanted a little bit of color variety, and that's what that is. And at this point in time, I'm going to lift up a little bit in the back. And our painting is almost complete. There's just a couple of little odds and ends here we got to tidy up. And that was just, I was a little bit sloppy, and I got some my foliage into the water. I hope you enjoyed this painting. And like I said, I'm starting to get some subscribers now and some views and things like that. So please, don't hesitate to tell me what you think in the comments. Tell me what you want to see. Tell me what, you don't like to see. And I'll do my best to accommodate you as much as I can. So I hope everybody has a great day. I hope my voice wasn't too distracting for this video. And I will see you next time.